Erased is probably the best anime that I've ever seen. And trust me, that's saying something. If you frequent my streams or have ever talked to me about anime, you may know that I often advise people to watch Erased. For those of you who don't know or who haven't seen it, Erased is a 12-episode masterpiece of an anime that I just can't get enough of. Because I tell people to watch it so often, I deemed it highly appropriate for me to make this video conveying why Erased is the best anime and informing everyone here, who is over 14, of why they need to watch it. For this review, I asked people on my Instagram and Twitter what they think makes an animated show good or bad, and using your ideas, I conjured up 6 categories that I intend to cover in this video, and points within each category that I wish to discuss. The 6 categories are plot, characters, visuals, music, pacing, and my critique. As an attempt to not spoil the series too much, I won't spoil any plot points after the second episode. The first episode of Erased comes off as a bit fast-moving and almost sorta odd, but watch 3 episodes and you'll be hooked. Erased is a very unique show because the best way I could think to briefly summarize the plot is the most adorable murder mystery you have ever seen and ever will see. Let me explain. The show follows protagonist Satoru Fujinuma, who is a 29-year-old aspiring manga artist. Satoru experiences a phenomenon that he in the show refers to as revival. Basically, when something catastrophic is about to happen, he's sent back in the past anywhere from 1 to 5 minutes and given the opportunity to stop the tragedy, at the cost of his own well-being. After hearing about a recent local kidnapping, Satoru's mom mentions that something similar happened back when he was in the 5th grade. Sachiko Fujinuma, Satoru's mom, believes that she has information on who the killer is, and she herself gets murdered as a consequence. Satoru was framed for the murder and sent back all the way to 1988, when he was 11 years old. In 1988, 2 of his classmates, as well as a local girl, were murdered, and a friendly local man was framed for it. One of the most important, and possibly my favorite character, Kaio, is a young girl in Satoru's class that sets up the show to be very cute and wholesome, to the point where you almost forget you're watching a murder mystery. Satoru was sent to the past with the self-assigned mission to save his classmate Kaio and change the future. If there's one word I'd never use when describing this show, it's boring. Erased does a very good job at balancing comedic versus serious bits of the show. There are enough jokes sprinkled in to make the series entertaining to the viewer, but the comedic aspects do not take away from the serious parts of the show. There are around a dozen characters in Erased, and for a show with so few episodes, Erased does a great job at developing and showing multiple sides of each of the main characters. There are several very important characters in the show. The first one is the protagonist, Satoru Fujinuma, who I already mentioned. And the other main characters, Kaio Hanazuki, the girl who Satoru attempts to save, and Satoru's mom, Sachiko Fujinuma. I had a bit of difficulty deciding exactly who the main characters are since there are so many important ones, but Kenya, a close friend of Satoru's, and Airi Katagiri, Satoru's co-worker, may also be considered main characters. The other characters are Satoru's friends and people who play into the murder mystery plot. I really like the design of the 6 main kids in the show, Satoru, Kaio, Kenya, and the other 3, because I think their appearances all really suit their personalities, and the colors and designs of them really complement each other nicely. They're all unique from each other and have semi-realistic personalities. All 14 of the characters in Erased directly impact the plot, and none of them feel dull, even with only 12 episodes to go on. Like many anime, Erased has beautiful artwork. The show is drawn in such a way that scenes portraying memories important to Satoru feel almost sort of nostalgic to the viewer. The colors and lighting create a really nice sense of atmosphere for the show and really tie it together. Something else that I especially like about this anime is how many expressions the characters have. They're nothing short of perfect. This is probably one of my favorite things about the series. On the topic of my favorite things about Erased, no anime is complete without the music. The Erased soundtrack is diverse. It somehow manages to perfectly convey the emotion of every scene and contribute to the already brilliant sense of atmosphere. The songs vary from happy, childlike songs to spine-chilling songs foreshadowing misfortune, to songs you may never have heard but still feel nostalgic. The reason I initially watched Erased when I saw it back in March for the first time was because I had heard the Nate Wants to Battle cover of the opening theme and wanted to see what it looked like in the show. Now, the opening doesn't play in the first episode, so I ended up watching the second episode as well and getting hooked on the great story and soundtrack. I really love the opening. Not only is it an amazing song, but there is so much detail and it's packed with foreshadowing. Between the hidden details to the significance of every scene, it's one heck of an opening. The end theme is also beautiful, and I think it does a really good job at conveying the more spooky mood of some of the episodes. Something that is very important in any form of media, be it a movie, a book, an anime, or whatever story you're following, is the pacing. Like I said before, the first episode comes off as a bit fast-moving, but the rest of it is really well-paced for a show with only 12 episodes. Every plot point in the story is very well developed, and nothing feels unfinished. There's not a single filler episode, and every scene of each episode is important to creating the atmosphere and developing the story, and the entire series is packed with foreshadowing. Calm, nostalgic scenes have time to play out and develop, all while not distracting from the more thrilling scenes. Erased manages to create a sense of balance while keeping the entire series to under 5 hours. The plot is intriguing, and pretty much all loose ends are tied up by the end of the series. It's the type of show that is truly worth giving a rewatch. Or 2, or 3, or 5. If I have one critique for Erased, it's the title. Erased is the official English title. In Japanese, the show's original language, the title is Bokodake da Enkaimache, which translates to A Town Missing Only Me. But the official translation of the title, as shown in the show's logo, is The Town Without Me, which I think is a much more appropriate title for the series. Now, I understand that it's named after Satoru supposedly trying to erase the past, but he's more so trying to alter it, not rid of it completely. Additionally, The Town Without Me is a much more fitting title, because Kyle actually writes an essay with minor foreshadowing to the series that goes by the same title. The name also describes an event, of which I do not wish to spoil, that happens during the series, at the end of the series. It's not my loss. I wish The Town Without Me was the official English title instead of the subtitle, but aside from that, I really have no other grievances with the show. Even if you aren't into anime, I'd still suggest watching Erased. It doesn't have many annoying anime tropes, and yes, it's an anime, but at its core, it's really just a great show. Assuming you don't skip the intros and outros, the entire series is only a 5-hour watch. That's only like watching 3 movies. So please, do yourself a favor and watch Erased. But not the live-action Netflix one! Hey guys, thanks for making it to the end of the video. It's kind of late at night right now, so I'm gonna make this snappy. But I really love Erased, and it's a show that I really hope that a lot of you do go and watch now. You can find it on Hulu and other places if you just Google where to find it. This is my first time making a YouTube video in Adobe Animate, so I hope it came out well. I know there's some glitches in the audio, and I actually did lose 2 minutes of footage in the middle due to corruption that I had to redo. So if there's one part in the middle that looked kind of not as great as the rest of the video, it's because I was pretty demotivated having to redo an entire 2 minutes of animation. Also, something I wanted to talk about in this video was the ending to Erased, since a lot of people do talk about it, but I didn't want to spoil it. So maybe if you guys like this video, I might make a follow-up that is a spoil-full video talking about the ending to Erased on the second channel at some point. I don't know. Hopefully this video is covered under fair use. I assume it is since it's critique, so fingers crossed this video doesn't get taken down for copyright. I think that's all, so thanks for watching, and please watch Erased.